Yes, we'll continue with the session again. So these are the two questions which he has asked over there. Homeopathy acts on symptom similarity. So if there are no symptoms, then how it can act? First important thing, it acts as a prophylactic only because we have selected on the totality of the epidemic, not on individual totality. If you want to cure a patient, you have to find it on the symptom similarity. If you want to prevent the disease, it should be on the basis of symptom similarity, and that will going to stimulate only the innate immunity, not a active immunity. So there are two different things which we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, that in innate immunity we used to find it out that the original immunity of every patient or every human being with which he is born and which protects him from every disorder is the innate immunity. So homeopathic genus epidemicus produces or stimulates this innate immune reactions of the human being, and because of which he can be prevented but for number of disorders, not only a specific disorder. Second questions, automatically this answer is logical answer given to the situation. So Hahnemann also, whenever he have explained that if someone asks how homeopathic remedies act, he has given answer in the aphorism number 28 or 29. He mentions over there that the most probable thing with this sentence he starts, and he explains that how homeopathic remedies act, the most probable explanation, and then he explains the nature's law of cure over there. But because when the things are dynamic, you cannot explain it at the level of materials. So that's why if anything cannot be explained at the material level, is not scientific, is a wrong sentence. It is a half truth. How I will going to tell you. Just take a simple example. एखादा माणूस एक पोतभर साखर घेतली त्याने आणि सर्वांच्या साक्षीने लाखो लोक समोर उभे आहेत आणि ते पोतभर साखर त्यांनी समुद्रात टाकली. सर्वांनी पाहिलं की त्यांनी समुद्रात साखर टाकली आणि मग तुम्ही समुद्राचं पाणी आधी घेतलेलं होतं, त्याचं ॲनालिसिस केलं होतं आणि परत एक पोतं टाकलेलं समुद्राचं पाणी होतं आणि मग परत ते समुद्राचं पाणी घेतलं आणि परत ॲनालिसिस केलं. त्या ॲनालिसिसमध्ये काहीच फरक सापडला नाही. तर याचा अर्थ त्यांनी जे साखर टाकली ही सायंटिफिक नव्हती का ही गोष्ट? तर सायन्स या ठिकाणी एक्सप्लेन करू शकत नाही खूप गोष्टी, कारण सायन्स मटेरियल गोष्टी शोधतं. आता इथं सगळ्यात ट्रूथ काय होतं की सर्वांच्या साक्षीने त्यांनी स्पेसिफिकली त्या ठिकाणी साखर टाकली. दिस वॉज द ट्रूथ अँड एव्हरीवन नोज दॅट. बट विथ अ मेजरमेंट इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू मेजर because there was a limitation. So you can certain things, the dynamic things you cannot explain on the basis of any scale, and when you cannot explain or you cannot show it in such form, it doesn't mean they are not scientific. So that's why most important thing is that whenever you have to consider the dynamic understanding of the thing, you have to base your thoughts on the basis of cause and effects. कॉज एका ठिकाणी कॉज आहे आणि त्याच वेळेला त्याच्यामुळे इफेक्ट होत असेल तर इन बिटवीन मीडियम जरी दिसत नसलं तर त्याला आपण डायनॅमिक म्हणतो. मग फॉर एक्झाम्पल आपण म्हणतो की चंद्राच्या गुरुत्वाकर्षण शक्तीमुळे समुद्राला भरती ओहोटी येते. इट हॅपन्स बिकॉज ऑफ द मून ग्रॅव्हिटेशनल फोर्स. हाऊ कॅन इट हॅज बीन कन्सिडर्ड? इट हॅज बीन स्टडीड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कॉज अँड इफेक्ट्स ओनली. No, there is no measurement. There is nothing with which you can measure. Yes, this is the gravitational force, or you cannot say that the moon acts and produces or pulls the water over there. It is not like that. So, if it is the thing which you consider scientific, based upon only on the cause and effects, you label it scientific. How can the homeopathic remedies action is not scientific? If you give homeopathic remedy, it produces certain types of features at the functional level. It is a cause and effect is there, even though original medicine is not there inside that. It is just a dynamic stimulus. So how can you say that this is not scientific? So most important thing is that it depends upon dynamic things. You cannot explain at the material level, and that's why you cannot give such types of explanations to the people who are materialists, and that's why you cannot think about it. Last question which he has mentioned about how a medicine given few days before can repel the probable epidemic disease after few days. Most important thing is that whatever medicinal stimulus which you used to give, it is just a stimulus to stimulate your innate immunity. Yes, what I used to suggest my patients that is, yes, taking one dose is more than sufficient. Just get stimulated. If any type of patient of the disorder happens to be there around you regarding that epidemic, you take one more booster dose so that it again gets stimulated. Again, you cannot judge how many days the action of that remedy will going to remain, because susceptibility plays a very vital role regarding this thing. So if susceptibility plays a very vital role, individuality plays a very vital role, miasmatic background plays a very vital role, you cannot predict the things that medicine will going to act only for certain type of duration. It varies from person to person. And that's why best solution is that it is judgment of the susceptibility, judgment of the situation, judgment of what happens around you. Accordingly, you can explain to the people, yes, you whether to repeat or whether not to repeat, whether to take a single dose or whether to go on repeating the thing. That depends upon the judgment, and that's why you cannot define a specific law in homeopathy. We define the law of minimum dose in homeopathy. कार्डिनल प्रिन्सिपल्स मध्ये आपण एक लॉ म्हणतो, त्या लॉला आपण लॉ ऑफ मिनिमम डोस कन्सिडर करतो. आता लॉ ऑफ मिनिमम डोस इट इज नॉट अ मटेरियल, इट इज डायनॅमिक. सो what is the law? A dose sufficient to arouse a vitality in a deceased individual is called as a minimum dose. असं आपण म्हटलंय. आपण डिफाईन केलं का कि 30 potency is the minimum, 200 potency is the minimum, 1M potency, 1000 potency is minimum, or 1C potency is minimum? No, it is variable according to the situation, according to the patient. So someone might require 30, someone might require CM. Everyone's minimum dose is varies according to the situation. And that's why you cannot define in homeopathy, you cannot define in dynamic things, because it depends upon the judgment, it depends upon the judgment of the susceptibility, it depends upon the judgment of the constitution, it depends upon where the disease presents, it depends upon the miasmatic force of that patient, it depends upon pathology of the disease. Number of things takes part in that, and that's why you cannot define. But in giving such a medicines for the preventive purposes, either you have to give 30 or 200 potency of moderate potency just to stimulate a reaction inside the human being. It will not going to produce specific antibodies with active immunity against that disease, but it will stimulate your innate reaction in order to fight with the situation. There are a number of things that people do, and in order to get strength, आपण आपल्या आयुष्यात खूप गोष्टी करतो. त्या गोष्टींची ॲक्शन ही इनेट इम्युनिटी स्टिम्युलेट करण्याकरताच असते. आपण कम्पेअर करत नाही, आपण उघड्या डोळ्यांनी पाहत नाही, म्हणून आपल्याला त्या गोष्टी कळत नसतात. The things will happen like that whenever you go on learning the homeopathy, then you will find a number of things regarding this. So this is what I want to share regarding the prophylaxis in homeopathy. This is homeoprophylaxis, where you can consider one more point which I just recollected, that in Hahnemann have treated number of disorders, number of epidemics with homeopathy, and his mortality rate was very less. खूप जणांनी हा रेफरन्स दिला आहे प्रत्येक ठिकाणी मांडताना. पण एक गोष्ट मी तुम्हाला सांगतो की इफ यू रीड हॅनेमन्स लिटरेचर, हॅनेमन not having a microscope came to the conclusion of a bacillary theory or virus theory हे त्यांनी सांगितलेलं होतं. सो वन इम्पॉर्टंट थिंग वन मस्ट नो की हॅनेमनने जरी डोळ्यांनी दिसत नसलं तरी हॅनेमन ह्या कन्क्ल्युजनपर्यंत आला होता की ह्युमन डोळ्यांना किंवा ह्युमन आईजला काही दिसत नसलेल्या असे काही गोष्टी आहेत ज्या एकमेकांपासून दुसऱ्याला एकमेकांना स्टिम्युलेट करतात, एकमेकांपासून दुसऱ्या माणसापर्यंत जातात आणि त्याच्यामुळे डिसीज कम्युनिकेट होतो. आणि म्हणून त्याला त्यांनी ही हॅज गिवन नेम टू दोज as a acute miasms. So while explaining or classifying the acute diseases, first two varieties he has explained individual diseases or the second variety that is sporadic diseases. For the causes of epidemic and endemic diseases, he explained they are caused because of acute miasms. He has given the name acute miasms. Here he came to the conclusion of such a thing to which he has not labeled by a virus or a bacteria, but he has mentioned that this happens because of that. आणि मग हॅनेमनने कॉलरा इपिडेमिक ट्रीट करताना सगळे प्रोफायलॅक्सिस सांगितले. ही हॅज युटिलाइज सेम टाईप ऑफ प्रोफायलॅक्सिस की एकमेकांचे कपडे वापरू नका, एकमेकांच्या वस्तू वापरू नका, त्याला थोडंसं सेपरेट ठेवा, त्याचा आहार वेगळा द्या. एव्हरीथिंग ही हॅज मेन्शन्ड वाईल एक्सप्लेनिंग. ही हॅज नॉट गिवन जस्ट वन रेमेडी अँड ही हॅज प्रिव्हेंटेड कॉलरा. He was not knowing it is because of Vibrio cholerae, but he was having in his mind a thought regarding a Vibrio cholerae and how this can be spread. Everything, every detail he has mentioned. So genus epidemicus is not giving just a remedy. It is everything comes into the everything comes in conclusion when you are applying the homeopathic prophylaxis as a preventive remedy over there. So these are the things which I want to discuss over there. There is one question by Vaibhav Kadmane. Is prophylaxis somewhat same to the drug proving? Little bit, yes. Only thing is that here you are not giving or you are not using the laws or rules of repetition of the drugs which you used to do in drug proving. In drug proving you used to go on repeating till the symptoms appears. I will not say that one should do this thing, because if you do these things then you are always in confusion whether your remedy has produced that symptoms or whether patient has suffered from such a disease. So it should not be like that. That is my answer. This is my own consideration. It is not. So that's why I used to give a single dose and that is sufficient for that purpose. Then Dr. Shishir Paranspe, request is please go through the questions right now. Which questions? Just a minute. In the chat there are only these three questions are there in the chat of Zoom group. If anyone has any question, just put a chat over there on the Zoom group. It is very difficult to watch it on Facebook at the same time, but if any question is there, we can discuss something. If there are n number of things happens when I was learning homeopathy, there are n number of questions used to happen, and when I asked my teachers, they used to tell just see in the books, but this is not the answer. Yes, I might be able to give you answer or I might not be. If it is possible, I will try my level best to answer your questions. Okay, so I think I want to conclude this session. We'll go ahead with the last slide. That thank you very much for this specific session on the homeopathic prophylaxis. So thank you very much listening me, and now we have to turn towards the most important part of the today's session. Earlier we have discussed a lot of things from the Materia Medica, 5 remedies we have discussed from Allen's keynotes. Here I want to suggest you that again we'll take a break of 2 minutes, 3 minutes so that we can join as a new meeting. So we'll get 40 minutes for the next session. So in between there will be no break. So with we will just conclude this meeting for 2-3 minutes, and we'll join again on Facebook as well as on the Zoom within 2-3 minutes. So I ask Vinod to